great if we had a little more background on exactly what the situation was and what the words were. But in general, of course, we support speaking kindly to each other, yet we also want children to feel assertive, like they can say what they feel and what they think. And then we can help guide them on what does that mean in a social situation? How does it affect other people? So we first, almost always with everything we do, we look at what's developmentally appropriate. 4-year-olds learn to use language. They're not hitting anymore, they're using language. The flip side of that is they experiment with inappropriate language. So knowing that is the first key, because this isn't misbehavior, this is a child learning, needing some information and direction on how to engage in these social situations. So we would look for the deeper meaning. What might this child be trying to get across? If it's a play situation and a child might be saying something like, no, you can't play here, we really look at, is this a child not wanting to be with that child specifically, or is it just that this child needs a little space because they've got this image in their mind of what they're creating, and somebody else coming in will change that, and that's hard to do when you're 2, 3, 4.
But that's where we step in and say, oh, well, look. So what else could you say to them instead of, I don't want to play with you. I want to finish my tower first. I need a little time to take care of this. And then, and then we are going to help bring those two back together and say, oh, look, you gave Tommy 5 minutes to finish his tower. Look how he feels now. He's so glad that he got to do that. Tommy, what are you going to say for your friend giving you a little space?
So we try to engage those two children in the conversation. How did that make you feel when your friend said that to you? And then kind of encourage them to really recognize each person's opinions and feelings and views and needs, not just one. Again, first of all, developmentally appropriate. That is exactly appropriate for a toddler. So one of the strategies we use is as much as possible, we refrain from questions that can be answered with a no. So we try to offer open-ended choices. Would you like peas for dinner or carrots for dinner? Not, what do you want vegetables for dinner?
Or what do you want for dinner? Mm-hmm. Ice cream. Mm-hmm. Well, that's probably not going to happen, so we're not even going to give that as an option. Do you want to brush your teeth now, or do you want to brush your teeth after we have our bedtime story?
So giving your child choices that are acceptable to you lets them have some of that power of, I get to make decisions about myself, but without that just kind of cut off of a no.
And then, building in times and opportunities for them to use the word no, because it's a good word. I mean, it's an important word. No has a lot of power behind it. So they should be able to use the word no, but probably not when you're asking them to get buckled into their car seat. Magic.
Well, we do have the luxury of an environment where we are only here with the children a few hours at a time, a few days a week. We're not in the middle of cooking dinner while also entertaining the children. So that is to be said. But some of what really works is to have a really regular routine. The children know when we sing the cleanup song, we clean up things, and then they also know what's next, which is something fun, like circle time and snack and outside. So that's really built in. It's not like every day it's just random, oh, I've decided right now it's time to clean up. So I would encourage something like that, have a real routine. At home, I don't want to do my dishes immediately after dinner every single night, but I probably want to get them done before the next meal. So maybe even a little bit of wiggle room on when exactly that gets done. So a routine, but a routine that's kind of sensitive to your own schedule and your child. Also at school, we do things that we call it like news announcer commentary. So we might walk into the block area and say, oh my goodness, look at all the dinosaurs on the floor. And without really even saying, Johnny, you need to put the dinosaurs away, somebody who's been playing with them looks at them and begins putting them away. Or maybe even another friend who's just following the teachers around starts putting them away. So they do get put away like that.
And they almost always get some help from an adult to do it. Because, if you ask a 3-year-old, you walk into your playroom and all the bins have been dumped out, and you look at them and go, you need to clean this up. As a 3-year-old, developmentally, that's more than they can handle. But if you get on the floor with him and you say, we're going to pick up the dinosaurs first. Okay, now we've got that done. Now we're going to work on the cars. But that's one of the things we do, is we try to work in ways for them to be successful, because then they go, okay, this isn't so bad.
And also we kind of limit what's available. So we wouldn't have every single block and every single animal and every single dinosaur and every single car in the block area all at the same time. We have a smaller bin so that when you actually, if you do dump it all, it really is not that overwhelming to put it all away for us and the child. So that's another thing.
And once again, that goes back to, is it developmentally appropriate? It's developmentally appropriate for a 2-year-old to want to dump out a bin of toys. It's rewarding. But then that's when we go, okay, oh, you really need a dump. Let's go over to the texture table where we can dump.
Yeah, so finding some way for them to always meet that need in a way that is okay with you, a positive way that's okay with you. And also we just intervene, so if we see maybe this is a pattern, like, Susie tends to like go over here and dump that, go over here and dump that, that's what she finds exciting. But it's a little bit of a work for the rest of us, so we may follow Susie around the next time, and as she's reaching for that second bin, say, oh, it's so much fun to dump the toys out, they make that really great sound. Right now, I see cars on the floor, cars go in this bin. And then we help her put the cars away, and then she can move on to another bin. And it may get dumped as well, but it's still not the same kind of overwhelming mess as if they'd all been mixed together. Again, this is developmentally appropriate. We expect that's going to happen, especially with our youngest learners, especially with new students, especially at a time when a child might be going through something outside of school even.
Especially when sometimes they're noticing that their caregiver is having a hard time with separation too.
So, a couple of tips. If this is you and your child, a very quick goodbye with lots of confidence but love, that works best. Kind of like ripping off the Band-Aid. If you just, your message to your child should be, you're gonna be okay, and not a verbal message, but just your attitude. You're gonna be okay, I trust these people, I'll see you in a little while. And so then our job is to comfort that child if they're willing to accept that. We acknowledge their feelings. We recognize you look really sad. It is so hard to say goodbye to Grandpa. He'll be back after we sing the goodbye song. So we really give them a time frame that they might understand to know when that's going to happen. We never tell the children that they can't cry or they should stop crying or that's enough crying. We acknowledge how sad it is and how hard it is. We try to distract a little bit by maybe, comforting that child and quietly moving ourselves over to something that's soothing, like the Play-Doh table, where we start squishing and squeezing. We're not saying, here, you need to have some Play-Doh. We just start manipulating it, and it's really amazing how frequently those kids just get drawn in to that activity. We also provide them some opportunities to kind of document how they're feeling and what they might want to say to their grown-up right then. So we say, do you want to write a note to Mom? What should our note say? Do you want to paint a picture for Dad? And then if the child has calmed down at some point, closer to the end of the day, we might say, wow, do you remember how sad you were today when Mom left? I wonder what we could do. Is there anything you could think of that would make that easier for you tomorrow? Would you like Mom to leave a scarf? Would you like Mom to leave a picture? Would you like to wave through the front window or the side window? Giving the child some choices and some control over the situation can sometimes ease that a little bit.
And sometimes we might call you and let you know that they have calmed down and they're happily playing. Because we know that when it's hard to say goodbye to a crying child. It's hard to have someone else, pull your child away from you as they're crying for you. So on days like that, when things are really heated, you'll probably get a phone call from Debbie or I saying, hey, we just want to let you know everything's cool now.
We might even send you a picture.
Yeah.
But also the flip side of that is we might also call you a half an hour later and say, you know what, your child is still very, very upset. And we just wanted you to know. If you get that kind of call from us, it does not mean that we want you to come back and get your child at all. We just want you to know that your child is still having a hard time. And we could come up with some strategies. Maybe the next time you come to preschool, just leave them for 10 minutes and have that separation, but have it a very quick reunion instead of the entire 2 hours.
A very successful reunion.
Mm-hmm. So that it's kind of like weaning. So weaning yourself away and weaning your child into this space. So those are some of the ideas we have.
And magic.
And magic. Teacher magic.
Teacher magic.